That's a nice start.
Hey, what up? Secret House, hip hop, art, and culture conversations, whatever. You know who we are, or maybe you don't. And yoroshiku onegaishimasu, because we're reviewing some Japanese stuff today. Two Japanese or Japanese adjacent records, actually.
Indeed.
But first up, we've got this album Sonoras by Sweet William. Sweet William is a beat maker, producer, originally hailing from Aichi. I don't know if he's still based out there or if he's still based out in Tokyo. I spent way too long trying to figure out which prefecture he was currently based in.
Low-key, that's why I left the intro to you. I was like, why don't you handle this one, Jay? I was like having a hard time navigating to see who he is.
Yeah. This record has a bunch of different features from all kinds of really dope cats from Tokyo and the rest of Japan, including
Jinmei Usagi, NF Jiso, fucking some other people I don't know as well.
Yeah, a lot of really dope MCs and singers and performers on this record. What we like to do when we're reviewing an artist for the first time is discuss how we've heard of the artist. So I guess I'll go first. I've been a fan of Sweet William for some time now, since his 2017 album Jasmine. I should highlight that this is his third album, I believe. His first album was Jasmine. 5 years later, he followed it up with Beat Theme, which was entirely instrumental. And now, this year's Sonoras is Sonoras. I've been a fan since Jasmine, but I would say I was kind of just a casual fan. I was like, these like nice, upbeat, very well composed hip hop beats. I became a real fan with his two collaborations with Ichiko Aoba that came out maybe 2 years ago and 3 years ago, respectively. Karakahi and Amaneki. Those are two really, really beautiful songs that I strongly recommend checking out. Real genre bending stuff and just some really great music. How about you, Meg?
I feel like this is the first time I got into him. I've heard his music. You said he's out here in Tokyo, though?
I don't know. He's from Aichi. I think he's from Nagoya, but I don't know specifically where he's based at.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, I used to go to beat shows pretty much every weekend. So you'd meet a variety of artists and a variety of beat makers and stuff. And so I may have been to a
in the
joint
same room
with
as
him
at some point,
but I can't say that I'm familiar. I did recognize his name and was following him, I think, before you recommended we do this album, just because he collaborates with some of the people that are that I'm more familiar with, like NF and especially Jinmei Usagi, who does a lot of work with our guy Ghost Pops. Like, in fact, I would say that Ghost Pops produces like a large amount of the work that he does, but he's also been blowing up for a long time too. And I was familiar with him even before he started working with Ghost Pops, because my wife used to work at a dentist office that he went to, and she's like, hey, have you heard of this guy? This is maybe like 8 or 9 years ago, when he was still very dope, but now he's kind of reaching another level. I think he just did a song with Crush.
Yes.
So this is some very, very Japanese hip hop beat scene type of stuff that it be out here like that. Yeah.
And the album kind of alternates.
Code of the Friend is on here too.
Code to the Friend is also
that's right. That's right. I think that's the only.
It's the only Western foreign feature on there. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought maybe Jumbo Lacquer was like a black dude, but that's also Japanese.
Also Japanese.
Yeah, I've never heard of him.
I feel like he's Jumbo Lacquer as some like mutual acquaintances with the show.
Okay, bet.
He's he's out here. He's involved with like the BC and stuff. Like I know like Ilsugi and them know him. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's dope. This is a very Japanese album.
I think the homegirl Zu-chan might know him too.
Okay.
I don't know if you know Zu-chan, but yeah, she's dope too. The album kind of alternates between just beats and instrumental tracks and more hip-hop generally oriented stuff with rap features, with a couple more like ballady and singer-songwritery stuff mixed in for good measure. So what did you think of Sonoras broadly?
I enjoyed the listen. I actually really enjoyed the listen. The whole formula, which is kind of executed with care, finesse, and produces like this really undeniable, like chill vibe. The whole album feels extremely Japanese hip hop to me, from like the tradition of Nujabes, but like a post Nujabes. Like slow motion, cherry blossom, leaves in the wind type of jams. But
it's very pretty,
right? there's also a lot of piano. I'm guessing that Sweet William is like has some ability to actually play the keys, because those are one of the primary building blocks of a lot of this music.
Yes.
And also where you notice like chord progressions and really beautiful like piano runs to add to like, you know, the drums and hip hop sound that you would get. So I really enjoy it. There's a lot of moments that feel like exceptions to what I said about this coming from the tradition of a Nujabes, but it also shuffles back into the formula pretty well too. But overall, I thought that the vocal contributions were dope, the beats were dope, and this is just like some really, perhaps not necessarily my lane that I usually go to, but one that I wouldn't complain about, and I think is a step above a lot of people who ape Nujabi style.
Yes, and that's more or less how I feel about it as well. It's definitely like an elevation of the formula of the the Nujabes, Fat John, Tsuchiya, Force of Nature type, Samurai Champloo soundtrack era chill beats, like imitators that have come along since. He just, he certainly elevates like the level of musicianship on here. I really wish we'd had Spade on for this review, actually, because I think Spade would have enjoyed this one a lot, just because the level of musicianship on here is very, very high. I assume he has some piano playing ability, as you've said, just because there's some real like, it's very rooted in the piano, although like all of
they're the backbone to all of this music for the most part.
Yes,
I feel.
Although all the images I've seen of him like in the studio or writing, whatever, he's
on,
usually
like,
an NPC
or something.
I also noticed that track 7, Begins to Crack, features Ayatake Ezaki, who is like a classical jazz pianist.
Okay. My note on that is the piano is fire.
Yeah. So I mean, like obviously there might be a distinction between like he can play the piano, but he's got really good ear for chords, and also like, all right, we're gonna bring like a pianist on for this.
Well, the piano runs and kind of the chords and notes that he uses on them are not overly technical. They're something that like my wife can play. Like she is actually really good at playing keys, and I think that it's really dope. Like, for me, I wasn't super into the Nujabes movement and it was happening. I had heard a lot of it. There was a lot of staple jams, but I was just kind of like, all right, the you anime guys can rock with that. I was still I don't know. I was doing elsewhere, and I was listening to other things. But there's a part of me that feels like Nujabe's legacy is so tied to the lo-fi hip-hop beats that kind of sours me to the sound a little bit, because a lot of I've got a lot of lo-fi beat homies out here in Tokyo, out in the scene, people who I've met in Tokyo, people who are eating off of those playlists and have I've got homies that got like 1 million+ monthly listens because they're on these lo-fi beats type of playlists, and I respect a lot of those cats. I respect a lot of their talent, but I do think that ultimately so much of the lo-fi beats genre is just very formulaic and without
derivative,
much variation, and a lot of those people actually owe all of their success to aping Nujabes. And I also feel kind of like we saw like a side of that from the Dilla side of things, because they're kind of seen as like these binary stars of hip-hop production,
born on the same day,
exactly,
both died like under unfortunate circumstances when they were very young and still had a lot to contribute,
and their legacies rippled out in hip-hop in very distinct ways, right? And so there's a lot of cats, a lot of beat makers who just ape them, and they just like get a nice orchestral fucking sample, put some slow drums on it, add some this and that to it, and then give it an anime aesthetic. But Sweet William, he does seem like he comes more from that tradition than like the Buddha monk side of Japanese beat making evolution, which is like more of where Il Sugi is at, right? Like a more, I don't know exactly how I want to punctuate that right now, but there's just kind of a different vibe. And to be honest with you, usually when I hear this, I'm just like, ugh. Like, again, I've heard this vibe 1 million times. In the same way I kind of get when I hear some trap music, or like some southern shit that's all like keys made, and you know, that's just a personal thing. But Sweet William happens to kind of circumvent that on me a bit because of the little additions that he adds to this that make it rise above that lo-fi beats chill thing. And also,
well, I mean, the album is also like anything but lo-fi, right? I mean, the album's extremely lush. Like
I feel like when I'm using lo-fi, I'm not using to speak of the aesthetic, but more of like the not the actual sound of it, but kind of like
the aesthetic, the vibe,
yeah,
the category.
It's like,
no, absolutely.
I'm thinking more not the sound, but like the anime girl picture.
Yes,
maybe, you know what I mean? But yeah, you're right. It's very high fidelity.
It's extremely
clean.
high fidelity, very clean.
Yeah.
Very high level musicianship across the board. And like very meticulous and detail oriented. You know, I mentioned that like this is like his third album in maybe 8 years. Like he's not a particularly prolific artist, but at the same time, it's like you can kind of hear it in the, you know, there's so much care that gets taken with every single composition.
It's beautiful.
It's a really beautiful record.
Beautiful.
I really do. I understand why he didn't, because it's been a long time since those singles dropped, but I do kind of wish he had included those 2 singles, the Ichiko Aoba collaborations, because both of those songs, Amaneki and Karakahi, are like absolutely stunning pieces of music. I think they're his best work.
Aoba is like a budding...
I think
like
in
flower?
this case it would be like blue flower, something like that, right?
Okay. My bad for derailing your thought. Yeah.
But also, I do also appreciate that there's quite a lot of variety on here.
Yeah.
You've got Uri Nakayama, who's a singer-songwriter, you know, doing something a bit more like quirky and ballady and
there's
kind
like
of very sweet.
an interesting play school type of
yeah,
beat
like
sound keyboard
to
that
it.
starts that with,
But then like beyond with Jimen Usagi, like and NFZ Show almost sounds like some brain feeder shit. Like it's got a bit of that like bumping, you know, LA beat scene like bump to it.
Hold on a second. Let me bring that in. Just
run it.
Because it is like, this is not Nujabes. This is not lo-fi beats to high five to or something. You know what I mean? Like and also to the point as well, like it's a good balance. Often it goes from like instrumental track to track with feature.
Yes.
Whether it's a rap feature or from a few different types of styling artists, but they all fucking really ride the beats incredibly well and give the album a different variation. It gives the album a feel of movement. And also I think that perhaps like with some of the theming of the album, Crack in the Cloud, Begin to Crack and Beyond and all these, there's a few Begins to Crack. I think that there's kind of like perhaps a thematic movement that's happening through the album that is there the more you look at it.
Yes.
Perhaps. I'm not exactly sure, but because I didn't listen to this album all that much. We had 3 albums this week and I was kind of slow on all of them. But yeah, as I listened to it, I was like, it feels really cohesive and meticulously crafted. It's great.
Obviously, like both of us like speak Japanese to a relatively competent extent, but like probably not enough to comment on nature of the lyricism and some of the rapping on here. It sounds good, but also like because of the nature of Japanese as a language, like I feel like Japanese rapping always just sounds kind of good, even if you're trash at it.
Yeah, because
it's like syllabic and there's only 5 vowel sounds.
Yeah, and it's like it always rhymes. It's like how your voice sounds on the beat and kind of a lot of it for me with the Japanese MCs is like how your voice sounds as an instrument accompanying the beat to me, because I just don't, my Japanese is not nearly good enough to catch nuance or some of the more like kind of cultural references that are going on and things that you would need to really analyze them like we might do with a name an MC, you know. So but you know, the one track, Coda the Friend, he's really dope on this.
Yeah.
And I know that I give him shit often because of some of the things that's happened in his personal life, and also his music was just kind of like, to me, but he's really good on this. It sounds dope. He's dope over the beat. It's
and he
smooth
fits the vibe of the album so well as well.
Perfectly.
You know, talking about having me time, just taking some time out, like, you know, a bit of space, but also being kind of loving and everything. It fits the vibe of the album.
It's really
There's a bit of that bittersweetness that gets mixed in there. You know, there's a little bit of that melancholia in this record. record.
This album is very melancholy to me.
Yes.
It's like, but it's kind of like, it's like maybe coming out of melancholy. It's kind of like, okay, the flowers are starting to bloom
again,
and actually it's a really good time to listen to this album with spring right on the way.
Coming.
I don't know where y'all live, but here in Tokyo, there's a few days this week where it's cold as fuck, but it's warming up, it's sunny, it's starting to feel good. And you know, I put this album on the background and it's just like, you know, no complaints. Fucking beautiful. Yeah. Who would you recommend? Well, not less like, I don't know. Do you have much else to say about the album? I don't want to like, I don't have too much to say because I don't spend a lot of time describing the way music sounds. Instrumental sound to me, I'm more of like a lyrics guy, and with the lyrics on this I'm just kind of like, Gaggle sounds dope as fuck, Jumbo Lacquer sounds dope as fuck, but yeah, I don't
yeah, I mean, I think this is just a good gateway for like more surface level Japanese music fans or more surface level hip hop fans who maybe, you know, they like Dilla, they like Nujabes, they like you know, some of the stuff that they've heard on the radio but don't really listen to a lot of hip hop. Maybe they have their chill lo-fi beats to study to thing on in the background. This is like, it touches on all of those things, but it also kind of has like an interesting more interesting element to it.
It's way better than like this is a good gateway drug for people who are like, I don't listen to actual music, I only listen to like OSTs, like original soundtracks. Exactly, like I'm into like RPG soundtracks, you know what I mean? JRPG. And it's like, yeah, this is actually, those are probably good too, but this is like, you know.
Oh yeah, if you really fucked with that new Persona 3 remake, like you're probably going to enjoy this record.
What voice was I doing? I don't know. I just kind of listen. I don't know, but yeah.
It's like a snooty white guy.
Yeah. Perhaps, yeah. Which is weird because when I hear that, I'm thinking of like a 24-year-old. Did your mic go off? I'm thinking of like a 24-year-old kid. Your mic is off? Okay. But yeah, we'll just share. Yeah, so dang, we having audio issues. Maybe it's time to upgrade. You need to get a.
All right, we back.
Okay, you can get some money, Jet. Put him down for the studio. No, but I would recommend it to people on that level too. Like, I think my nephew Trey will rock with this. Shout out to I Know Trey, he's a patron.
DJ L Spade will rock with this.
You think so? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's yeah. I didn't know.
I feel like you know, some of these cats are from like the same, you know, like I know that Jambo Lacquer. I know that Jambo Lacquer is a friend of Aaron Chulai's. Like, I know that they rock with each other. And yeah, cats like Jimen Usagi and FZ Shaw, like, you know, they're just like ill people. Gaggle's fucking ill. So yeah, if you're like someone who, you know, wants like a little bit more variety, you know, we mostly highlight hip hop from the US ultimately, and you know, black artists of course, because, you know, I mean, we're predominantly black show operating in a black genre and we're very unapologetic about that. But also, yeah, if you want a little bit of variety, you want to see what's going on with hip hop on the other side of the world, this is like a really, really good example of that.
And on top of that, all of the features on this album are really, really dope when they're styling on their own type of approaches. Like I said, man, Jimen Usagi is fucking crazy. Like, yeah. With that, we'll leave you guys to it, man. Fucking Secret House, we're having audio issues, but you know, like, Jimen Usagi. Oh, shout out to the patrons that are on the screen. I'll let this run for a little bit, you know what I mean?